The ability to get climate financing to smallholder farmers. I think Africa should raise this issue within their own organizations to see how they can give this priority in the negotiations, because it's certainly a concern that international climate financing is not reaching down to those that needs it the most. I think this is the first phase of bringing in new technologies, new thinking, a new way of making investments by government in programs that will in the end be mainstreamed into normal agricultural investment programs and the way government work. Climate change is here to stay. It will be a challenge for many, well, as far as ahead as we can see, it will be a challenge. So it has to be mainstreamed into government operations in the sector. Also for private sector, this is about their long-term strategic investments. If they cannot source produce from farmers, then their business is down the drains. So it's a common interest by many actors in the sector that this has to work. Well, that's the sad part of it, that the countries that are least capable of handling climate change and extreme weather, and we're talking here about extreme weather events, which is an additional issue, they are have the least resources to address this. So I think this is a part of the international community to work together, both on the mitigation side, where we all have a responsibility, and especially on the adaptation side for these countries to support those that will be hit hardest and have the least resources to actually become more climate resilient. And here we have to go all the way down to issues in the household and women, their role in agriculture, which is especially vulnerable in such situations. It's a double challenge in the sense we already have challenge in bringing women into the main dialogue on agricultural development. So we haven't solved, or it's not been solved, how we address women's needs and especially their role and responsibility in various levels of the sector, coming from the household all the way up to government. So I think the climate change adds a new aspect to that already big challenge. It has to be combined. Climate change and gender is very much related to gender and women's roles and rights in agriculture in general. So I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from the way women have taken a role, and I think adding climate change there is a natural way to go. There's no parallel climate change gender issues. It's a gender issue in itself. No one can go this road alone, and they all have an interest in keeping the sector going, increasing the productivity, which is already low, and that's in the interest of governments. Agriculture is still one of the most important sectors in African economies, and the welfare of the major part of the population. So, and that goes for private sector. They need to source resources from the agricultural sector, and it has to be sustained. So you will see that there are more and more private sector partners coming together, like the cotton industry, rice partners, etc., coming together to work to see how can they enhance the sustainability of their supply lines, and that includes climate change.